sculpting monsters out of our bloopers from our previous videos. So here's the bloopers. Alright, ready? Some paints react with the surface of cured clay and make it sticky forever.
Some paints react with the
There.
Some
paints react with the surface of cured clay and make it sticky forever.
Some paints react with the surface of cured clay and make it sticky forever.
Now, oh, can you imagine? Let's rotoscope the hay. No. All right. Oh, it's already recording, so. That's true.
Oh, this?
It's been recording for the last minute and a half. Alright, guys.
Bye. See you later, crows.
Tacos and snuggles?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Sam, you are going to say introducing, and you're going to say the Stock Monk Army. Is that okay? Or do you want to say? Oh.
Stock Monk Army.
Okay, well maybe you say it right. How do you feel?
Beauregard.
How do you feel?
Stock Beauregard.
I should have done that. Oh, that would have been so smart. The monk monkey. Oh well. Next
It's a
time.
stock monk.
Anyway, how do you feel about saying the Sock Monk Army? Are you cool with that?
You do it on purpose this time?
So mine is a button bird. Crow.
So why did you decide to do a button bird?
Because click and then crow is a type of bird.
So Sam drew a picture of what she wanted it to look like so that we knew, and I had some little pieces left over from a project that I did years ago. These little square pieces of MDF that were cut out and they all matched each other in some dowels. So we used that for the base. Sam drew this picture of the top, bottom, and sides, every angle. It's an orthographic projection. How did you know how to make an orthographic projection?
I don't know. I just imagined it in my head and then drew it down.
It's amazing, because that's what you would do if you were drafting something that you wanted someone else to build, is you draw it from every angle so that they understand what it looks like. And that's called an orthographic projection, and that's advanced drafting techniques.
Right there, I was putting texture for like fingerprints with the toothbrush.
On the top of the head.
Why can't you just use your finger for fingerprints?
The toothbruch is a good one to use for texturing clay, though.
But like you have fingerprints.
Yeah.
Why didn't you just use your fingerprints for the fingerprints?
A good reason for the fingerprint thingy is everyone has different fingerprints. It's not just everyone has the same fingerprint as everyone else.
Okay, so you were using the toothbrush to kind of represent everybody?
Yeah.
Okay. So you're painting your bird. So you have the silver body and the red head. You used acrylic paint for those. The silver paint was a little watery and a little chunky, so it got a little exciting, but it's still really cute and it catches the light really nicely when it's done.
I'm painting the eyes.
That Posca pen is bigger than you are. It's so big.
It's not bigger than me.
Crow.
Yep, now you can see his feet. His feet were hiding under his body the whole time. But there they are. They're so cute.
Alright, so for mine,
Try to say that.
my I was just trying to think of what to do, and then Daddy suggested, it sounds like really mouthy. There's a lot of
You were tripping over your tongue, so it makes sense to,
So he was suggesting to add something big with the mouth, like a big mouth or something.
yeah.
And the thing in my head when he said that was, oh, a blob with giant mouths or something. And then when I was talking with you, you suggested that it walked on the tongues from the giant mouths. And I was like, that's a good idea. So I drew whatever this is. Or wiring up the armature and then putting foil on it
To bulk
To bulk it out.
and I started wrapping the tongues.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And here I'm pushing in the mouths, and then I put a thin snake
Of clay.
around it and smoothed out one edge for like lip action.
Lip action. Look at that. Lip action.
The chalk pastels and just kind of mixed the color and then brushed it in. The clay still hasn't hardened yet.
Yeah, this was before we baked it. She put the chalk pastels in there because we wanted to have the inside of the mouth done before the teeth went in.
This is making the teeth.
So the teeth were shaped and then baked and then put into the mouths before the rest of it was baked. And that way the teeth stay nice and pointy, and the inside of the mouth was painted with the chalk pastels so that she didn't have to
Paint in between.
paint in between the teeth, like try to get around the teeth because it's tricky getting past them. This is making the eyes. So they're cabochons.
First we stuck it into the clay so that it wouldn't get all wobbly and move around while I was trying to paint it. And then with a Posca pen I drew the pupils. And then we took nail polish and painted over for like the color. They turned out good.
We got the idea for the cabochons from Ace of Clay. He's a YouTuber and he does polymer clay sculptures, and he sculpts just like I always have. His techniques are almost identical to the ones I've been using for the last 20 years, but he uses cabochons for eyes, and I had never done that before, so thanks to Ace of Clay for that idea.
And then painting the tongues.
Yeah, it just gets weirder and weirder. He's looking at me.
Oh, yeah.
And then I washed on some greeny yellow.
He definitely wasn't creepy enough. You gotta add some greeny yellow to it.
And then I painted the teeth.
Oh, gosh.
I think this helped a lot. It made the teeth pop a lot more.
Oh, gosh. Gosh.
And then I painted some gloss over the mouths and the teeth and the tongues.
So it'd be shiny.
Yeah. And there he is.
Ty, you're shaping up to be such a glorious weirdo. Don't ever change. Do you like this one?
Yeah.
You stick him in by your bed at night.
No.
He can watch you sleep.
No. No. No.
So I didn't make a monster because mine was pretty specific. I said sock monk army, so I had to make a sock monk army. I only had time to sculpt one, but I did draw several different members of the sock monk army, so that's at the end of the video.
Monkey mom.
I ended up making Aang from Avatar the Last Airbender. Tyler had mentioned Beauregard from Critical Role, who is an awesome monk, and I had thought of a couple of other really awesome fighting monks, but I think Aang is the one that you guys are the most familiar with. So I think it was a good one to actually sculpt. So I made the armature, covered it in foil, covered it in clay, smoothed it out, ripped off his head, like you do. It's easier to sculpt the head detached from the body. So I shoved in a skewer to hold space for the head, cut off the armature wire that was up there sticking out, and then I stuck another ball of foil onto a different skewer and covered it in clay and then started over. So this is the ears, little balls squished and then stuck on. You have to blend those in or they'll fall off. Then I sort of drew on the details for the face with the end of another skewer. One of the skewers that I had cut off. A lot of skewers. This is pushing in the clay around the pieces that I wanted to look like they were raised. The pieces that I wanted to look like they were pieces of felt on the sock monkey. I do the details on sock monkeys with felt sewn on, so they're raised a little bit. So I wanted it to look like these pieces were raised off of the surface of the sock. So I pushed in around it so they looked like they were separate pieces added on. And then I put the head back on the body and filled in around the neck and used a big ball stylus to blend. Big ball stylus in my fingers. And this is a beautiful trick. Use this side of the sculpting tool and roll it onto the clay to create texture so that it was more like a sock. And then I shoved a wire in there for the tail, but I didn't actually sculpt the tail at this point. This is right before the first bake. And this is set up for the first bake. So I've got balls of foil underneath anything I was worried about shifting while it baked. And then after the bake, this is actually sculpting the tail. So I pulled the wire out and put some clay around it and then put it back on.
So you blended in the tail.
Blended the tail into the booty. And then this is making his tunic. I don't know, what is it? His off-the-shoulder robe. I was doing Aang from the end of the series when he's older during like the last season. So his outfit is a little different from the beginning. And then I decided when I was painting him that I wanted to kind of ramp up the sock aspect of the whole thing. So I tried to make him Argyle. So that's why he's got these diamond patterns on his arms. I've made a lot of sock monkeys out of Argyle socks. I love using Argyle socks for sock monkeys. So I think it turned out pretty good. I think it looks like socks. This is painting on his arrow tattoos that glow when he's using his powers.
Imagine if you used glow-in-the-dark paint for those.
I could totally add glow-in-the-dark paint for those. We don't have glow-in-the-dark paint, but someday. Someday we'll get some and I'll use, and then he can go into the Avatar state whenever the sun goes down. So here I am painting shadows into all the crevices and stuff. It helps to make it look more realistic, but it also helps to kind of hide imperfections in the paint in all the little nooks and crannies that are so hard to get into. I use a wash, so it's paint and water mixed together, so it gets into all the little nooks and crannies better. Now I'm doing some highlights, and then I added some last details, and here he is, all finished. I wanted to do sort of a dynamic pose, where he looks like he was, had just landed or was just getting up or something. I think it worked out okay. His tail's pretty active. And then here is the drawing I did of all of the sock monks. So I did 3. This first guy is Lu-Tze from the Discworld series. He is a history monk. He can attack you in space and time. This is Bo from Critical Role. She's also a monk, and she has some pretty nifty powers. She can do dope monk things. And then Aang in the front. So I'm making it look like a comic book, kind of. Like if you had a sock monk comic book. It's funny how many monks there are, monk fighters. There's the sock monk army. I wouldn't mess with them. I ended up liking the comic book cover so much that I'm going to make t-shirts. Put them in our shop. We should make t-shirts with the click row and the I'm not even going to try to say yours. Yeah. And then there's the rest of them, our blooper monsters. I love them.
Ty's is the most monstery.
It's true.